Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And if you enjoy these podcasts, you probably would enjoy being a member of my Inner Circle Platinum. And you can learn more at michaelneill.org/inner circle. And there you'll find pretty much I'm trying to think of a really big container word, like a Googleplex worth of fresh videos and audios and self-study programs and coaching and webinars. And it really is the all-in-one, one-stop shop for the inside-out understanding. So please do check it out, michaelneill.org/inner circle. And the experience I had that led to talking about experience without a story was recently I had what felt like it was going to be the recurrence of depression. And for those of you who know my story, I was a depressed, suicidal teen. I then became a depressed but no longer suicidal young adult. And I then became a high-functioning depressed adult. And what that meant was I learned to cope. I learned to manage the experience that had been labeled and that I called and thought of as depression. And I experienced it as being sort of underwater, like walking underwater. Or sometimes I would say it's like wading through molasses. Now, I've never actually waded through molasses, but it's what I imagine wading through molasses would be like. It's a very heavy feeling. And it's a very tearful, for me, feeling. And I didn't know what to do because it's been so long since I felt it that it threw me just how bad it felt. Now, I wasn't lost in it. I was still present to myself. It wasn't like everything that I had seen since I had my first insight that every human being is living in the middle of mental health, we just don't know it, went poof. But it was sort of happening inside that. And I started to question, I got insecure, and I started to think, God, maybe, I'm having mental health issues. Am I allowed to have Yeah, of course I'm allowed to have mental health issues. But and I sort of was trying to make my peace with it. And telling myself, well, if it comes back, I'm sure it won't be as bad as it used to be. And I've got so much more experience now of being happy and loving my life. And I went for a dog walk, not for any reason other than it was time to walk the dogs. And a thought popped into my head. And it often happens for me. I don't know where thoughts pop into your head. Stereotypically, it's in the shower or while going for a drive or going for a walk. And just suddenly your head clears and something new comes to mind. And that's what happened to me. I'm walking with the dogs and a thought came into my head. What would this experience be like if you weren't making it mean something? If you didn't have the accompanying story about what it means and what's going to happen and where it comes from, etc., etc., etc. And it was the craziest thing. The experience didn't disappear as in that sort of odd feeling of heavy sadness didn't just disappear, but it became just an experience. It was obviously temporary. It no longer looked like it had roots in my personal history and in my genetic makeup and in my psychological conditioning. It was just an experience I was having. And by the time I was back from the dog walk, it was no longer an experience I was having. Now, there are two things about that seem significant to me, which is why I wanted to record this podcast, why I wanted to share this. And the first is I just encourage you to explore it for yourself with any experience you're having. You don't have to go make one up, right? You don't have to go out and go, let me think about a time where I was really miserable. But just the next time you notice yourself in an experience that feels a little bit more intense, a little bit more real, a little bit more serious, a little bit more heavy than your normal day-to-day life, just check in with yourself. What would that experience that you're having be like without a story? If you didn't make it mean anything. And I think you'll be surprised at how much the experience changes. Not necessarily disappears, though sometimes things do just go poof. But it's an entirely different experience without the story about where it comes from, where it's going, and what it means. And the other thing that to me is so hopeful and so encouraging is realizing that the moment your head clears, you'll get prompted by the deeper mind. You'll get insight. You'll hear the perfect thing in your head, or maybe from outside your head. Maybe it'll come at you from a TV show or from another person or from a book or from a podcast. But you'll hear just what you need to hear at just the right time, in just the right way for you. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.